my daughter was dying at that time.
Oh, no.
Dying of cancer. So I told Butch, pupunta ako sa Amerika to take care of my daughter. But when I come back, handa mo yung katawan mo at liligahan.
At our ages, we know how to rein in our impatience kung meron man, kung the discussion is not going well, or if we're not reaching a point that we'd like to reach. With my 100-year-old mother-in-law, nagkaroon pa kami ng pamanhikan at our age.
Instead of talking about finishing strong, I would rather talk about staying strong.
Yan.
Okay, okay.
Then kung
Huwag
sa
maging
dulo
pahuli.
lang hindi ba? It must be sustained all throughout.
Hi, I'm Anthony Pangilinan,
And I'm Maricel, Laxa-Pangilinan.
and welcome back to Marriage is a Marathon.
The podcast, Season 2.
Yes, and today, ang ating guests po. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited.
We're so honored.
Please welcome to Marriage is a Marathon, Tito King Rodrigo and Tita Boots Anson-Roa.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. It's an honor to be here.
Grabe naman, ang pag-uusapan natin dito ay
Love,
Edad.
love, love forever.
love forever. Di ba?
I love you forever.
Alam mo, hindi marathon ito eh. Marriage is an ultra-marathon.
Oo.
Pag ito-
Yes.
No, to have to go through the loss of a first spouse,
Yes.
a first marriage, and to start again. Can you please help us understand yung emotional challenge na pinagdaanan ninyo to go through that? No?
Siguro I'll asking to go ahead first because there was this incident when you talked to your eldest son, Kit. And I think that had a bearing on your future relationship.
Hindi, what I want to say is this, no? The emotional journey never ends. The grieving does not end.
Okay.
It's like the ebbs and flows of tide. Kuminsan malakas ang dating ng tubig sa playa, hindi ba? Kuminsan mahinang
Hindi
mahina,
siya tapos na chapter na, next
hindi ba?
chapter, hindi ganon.
And that goes on, no?
Right. That's
But
interesting.
after some time, the grief becomes good memory. Lugar na grieve, you remember.
Hindi na ganun
That grieving.
kabigat.
Yes. Oo. Pagkatapos, mas lalo na pag may dadating nakakatok sa pinto mo, pag binuksan mo si Boots. Ito
Similarly situated ako when it came to grief. When I lost Pete, my first husband, in 2007, konti lang iniyak ko. Even at the wake and the burial, my crying really came in surges when I went home for the first time after all the wake and all of that. And I saw the empty bed and I saw his leg brace. Ano siya eh, he was a stroke patient for 10 years and then he ended up with cancer. When I saw his leg brace there, and that was, I had my eureka moment na wala na pala talaga. And I prayed for coping because you'll never forget naman eh, nasa puso mo yan, so hindi mo yan makakalimutan. And with your children and your loved ones there to support you, hindi yan talaga makakalimutan. What I prayed for, aside from of course his eternal repose, was that I be helped in coping with the grieving and that I be guided on how to tackle it together with my children.
Itong tanong ko, bumukas ba ang puso ninyo before you met each other? Or because you reconnected and got to know each other, saka bumukas yung puso? Anong nauna doon? You know, I'm wondering, did you say, I'm ready again? Kasi, guys, itong couple na ito, alam mo yung sinabi ni Cardinal Tagle? They told me about this earlier. Oh my God, yung nagkwento sila na sabi ni Cardinal Tagle. Sa totoo lang, aamin ako, ito pinakamatandang couple that he ever married, no? Right? 75 and 69.
When they got married.
Yeah.
On the day of our marriage.
Oo.
Oh, that's why our whole wedding ceremony was a laugh-a-thon. Talagang tawan
Kaya, so nagbukas ba ang puso muna bago kayo nagkaroon ng relasyon? O dahil sa nagkakilala kayo?
Magkaibigan na sila.
No, but I wonder, what happened? How did it happen to open your heart again?
First, let me correct the
Okay.
fact. No? Boots and I never met. We never knew each other. We know of each other, of course.
Okay,
I knew
okay.
of her, no? Until I really courted her.
Wow.
Wow.
The reason is this, no? Alam nyo, maaga akong lumandi eh. 15 years old pa lang ako. I went steady with my first wife. She was 14.
Oh my God.
And at that time, Butch was only 9. 6 years ang difference namin eh,
Yeah.
di ba? And then I went steady for 5 years. At the age of 19, I got married. So she was only 13. So
When you got
ibang-
married,
Yes.
19.
Oo.
He was 19,
And
she
your
was 13.
partner then was, your wife was
Was also 19.
19.
Oo. Oo.
13 pa lang.
Oo. Hindi naman ako cradle snatcher. Anyway, so iba ang kilos namin sa society. Until such time na her siblings and my siblings decided to ibugaw kami dalawa to match us up.
My NTRCB
It wasn't just your effort, it was the effort of the community to put you
Wow.
Our siblings, sila yung mga matchmakers na.
Oo. But you were not really opening up to the idea of getting married again.
Hindi ko hinanap.
In my case, after I was widowed, I had suitors, no?
Wow. Of course. Boots Anson-Roa yan.
Pero wala, marriage, wala.
Yeah, yeah.
Friendships, yes. But marriage was not in the periphery. Oo.
And in the course of like you deciding to court her, eventually, did you decide, pwede? Kaagad ba? Or
Hindi, nakatutuwa nga yan eh.
Ayun, eto.
As I told you before, no, yung mga kapatid namin ang gusto mag-match up sa amin. I think it was the 99th birthday of my mother. Oo, so
99?
nag-attend.
By the
See?
way, the mother brought them to the altar, ha? At 100 years old.
Hinatid ako sa
Natid. Habang may buhay, may pag-asa talaga.
Sige.
So anyway, nandun kami sa party. Mamaya nakita ko yung isang kapatid ko, si Pempe. Dala-dala si Butch papalapit dun sa lamesa kung saan ako nandun. Sabi nung isang kapatid ko, King, minamatch ka namin yan.
Yun.
Eh sabi ko, teka, hindi pa ako nakahanda. Oo, and I think I said something like, I still love my wife. No? So when she came, I shook hands with her and I left.
Wow.
So hinabol ako ng kapatid ko, sabi sa akin, bakit mo naman binasto si Boots?
Wow.
Binasted ko eh.
Imagine siya
Ikaw ba-
nag-reject.
sabi ko, hindi ko binasto si Boots. Sa inyo ako galit. Hindi nyo ako hinanda,
Yes,
bigla-bigla
dapat
eh.
tinanong ka man
And
lang
I wasn't
kung
ready
ka.
for it. Di ba?
Ba yan, 75 years old, ihahanda pa. May ihahanda pa ba yan? Ikaw naman, alam nyo, inihanda ka na.
Hindi namin alam na sinaset up kami. Oo.
Hindi mo na-sense yun.
Sa akin, si King kasi was a parang
Kuya.
kuya figure.
Oo, si-
Because ang mga barkada ko, yung mga bunsong kapatid niya. Oo.
So, pero Tita Boots, nung dinadala kayo sa table ni Tito King, hindi nyo na-sense na parang minamatch kayo?
Hindi, I thought it was going to be a regular hello, hi. King, ganun.
Okay.
Kailan nangyari yung
On the
nililigawan na ako nito?
After.
Kaya nga,
much
what was
after.
that moment when you felt, this guy's courting?
Definitely it was not that moment because siya yung nag-busted sa akin.
Hindi, ganito. Hindi nagtigil yung mga, kung tawagin namin, our bugaws, hindi ba? No. Hindi nagtigil. So, minsan, dinoble date kami
Aba?
sa restaurant. This was...
Ito alam mo na to siguro pag double date.
Oo.
Meron na.
Pero before that kasi, he tried to invite, pero hindi matuloy-tuloy. Hindi matuloy-tuloy yung date and all of that. Until immediately before that, King, if you remember, we attended a recollection in the house of his sister, Pempe. Pareho kaming nagpa-participate, pero wala yon. Until I noticed na, yung silya sa tabi ni King, bakante. Nobody was seated there. Sabi ko, teka.
Kaya na.
Wala pa yung date. Wala pa.
Nung nag-pray na sila, hinawakan na ni King. Diba? Ganyan na, diba? Tapos tapos na yung kantahan.
Peace be with you. So, maituloy ko yung kwento, no?
Yes.
Di, nasa restaurant na kami. Yung best friend ko at yung partner niya, very aggressive eh. Sabi sa akin, okay, manligaw ka na kay Boots.
Wow.
So sabi ko kay Boots, pasensya na Boots, no? I cannot concentrate on these things now, yung panliligaw. Dahil my daughter was dying at the time.
Oh, no.
Dying of cancer.
New York.
So
New Jersey.
I told Butch, pupunta ako sa Amerika to take care of my daughter. But when I come back, handa mo yung katawan mo at liligawan ka.
Yan daw, katawan.
Eh di ba? Eh di, nagulat si Butch. Hindi, tinawag ko yung waiter, halika. Silbihan mo na mabuti itong babaeng ito. Yes, sir. Dahil yan ang pakakasalan ko.
Wow.
First date pa lang yan, ha?
What did you feel at the time?
Of course, sabi ko, presumido ang yaman niya. Napaka-presumido. Diba? But at the same time, there was a bit of shock. Pero it was pleasant. I mean, memorable. I mean,
You welcomed it.
yeah, because...
Iba eh.
Oo, kasi imagine, international lawyer, former ambassador to sa New York, no, ng Pilipinas. Tapos siya yung parang pinaka patriarch ng pamilya kasi siya yung pinaka oldest na brother ng mga kapatid. And the mother used to speak so highly of him, and so did everybody else. So, meron akong sense of awe.
Yes.
No?
Pero pinahanda ang katawan mo. So, Maginoo na medyo basto.
Pero may ganti yan, may ganti. So nagpunta ako sa Amerika, take care of my daughter. And nagkaroon ng remission, so I came back in February of that year. Tinawagan ko na siya.
Yun.
O Boots,
Oh.
pwede na. Sabi sa akin, binasted ako.
Aba, makipot.
Sabi niya, di, nagganti na ako.
Oo.
What did you
Makipot.
say? I'm not
Sinabi ko
interested.
lang, I'm not. No, I didn't say that. I just said I'm not available.
Why did you say that? Even if you already were in awe of him.
Kasi parang hindi pa nga panahon. I noticed nga dun sa inyong cue sheets friendship, timing, and falling in love again. Parang yun yung tema nitong aming relationship.
So when did you know? When did you know, okay na to? Ito na ito.
Nagnobena pa ako kay St. Therese and I asked for white roses.
Ito na naman.
My sign.
Pati tayo kami. Ito, peach rose.
Ako naman white. And St. Therese in particular, kasi best friend ko yan from high school. So anyway, hindi nagkasya sa isang rose. 4 occasions. 4 occasions. One, hindi alam ni King ito, no? One, when he invited me to his place to celebrate the birthday of his late wife. My first visit to his place. So when I went with my cousin, pagpasok ko dun sa foyer nila, there was the picture of his late wife, Olga. And right beneath, was a pot of white roses.
Wow.
Wow, sabi ko, wow. Nandun na yon. So during the dinner, I don't know what got to him. He just plucked one of the white roses.
Ayan.
And just he said, this is for you, Olga, and I want to share this with you. So yun, that's one. 2, my children and I went to a dinner concert. All the tables were already filled with centerpieces, no, na colored flowers. Pagdala nung bulaklak for our table, white roses.
Wow.
I didn't tell anybody. Di ba? Yun. And then pangatlo, my brother and my sister and I went to a private rosary session in Santo Domingo where we were invited to be in that room before the Our Lady of the Rosary image was going to be in procession. So nandun kami, after the rosary, I was looking around and I said, wow, walang palpak yata ako dito, walang white roses. Kasi ang nakapaligid dun sa image was a set of pots with anthurium. Puro anthurium. So sabi ko, yeah. So I went close to the image just to touch and say thank you. Paglapit kong ganon, nasa ilalim, sa likod ng mga anthurium, a pot of white rose.
Wow.
So this was already for you, parang one sign after another na dapat open ka sa kanya.
Yeah.
Ay,
At saka,
welcome mo na siya.
meron ng kilig factor.
Meron na.
Ay,
din.
maganda yun. May
Meron.
kilig
Yeah,
factor.
aside from the awe, no? And then the fourth and last one, what did it all was, we attended an anniversary mass for Father Reuter. And at the mass, after the mass, during the reception, his sister, the superior of the St. Paul nuns, just came to him and out of the blue, King, I want you to have this white rose.
Wow.
And sabi nga ni King, oh, why me? Sabi niya, hindi, ikaw, basta gusto ko ibigay sa ito. So sabi ko, siguro naman totoo na ito.
Oo. Sobrang dami ng mga
Tingin niya
signs.
sa'yo, white lady.
So I love the fact na dumaan talaga kayo dun sa ligawan, tapos may timing,
Yeah.
may signs, merong restraint, tapos using your mind, not just your
Yes.
emotions.
And then, hindi
And
pa nga-
faith. Importante yung
Yes,
factor.
faith. Matutuwa kayo with my 100-year-old mother-in-law. Nagkaroon pa kami ng pamanhikan at our age.
Sila naman hikan sa inyo.
Yes, to ask for her hand in marriage.
Wow!
This was about a month.
To ask for her body.
Body. Hand, body, and soul. Ayan na, tingnan nyo ha. Wala namang masama kung susundin natin yung ating mga traditions. In fact, maganda nga yun. Dahil nagpapakita how much we honor this
Respect,
person.
Yes.
Actually, yung respect and honor, nung sinabi mo na you went to his house because he was celebrating the birthday of his wife, late wife, no? Yun ang nakita namin na you celebrate your exes, your previous marriage, right? Even as you nurture this one that you have right now. Paano yun? Yung iba kasi kailangan kalimutan na.
Oo.
Huwag mo nang i-bring up yung pangalan na yan kahit kailan. Ganun no? For them, trigger yun Paano nangyari sa inyo that you can actually celebrate your past and still
That
enjoy the
issue was
present?
brought up by Boots before we got married. Sabi niya, King, before we get married, I want you to know that I'm willing to accept the number 2 position in your life. Dahil number 1 yung una mong asawa. Sabi ko, Boots, that will never work. That will never work. Ang kailangan ganito. Noong panahon ng first wife ko, siya ang number 1. That phase of my life is finished. So you have to be number 1 in the second phase of my life. Otherwise, it will not work.
Wow.
The wife can never be number 2.
Right.
Kirida yun, hindi ba? Oo. So we resolved it that way. And then before we got married, we went to the Holy Land, hindi ba?
Yes.
And there, in the part of the
May Jordan River.
Jordan River where Christ was baptized, we saw a big rock. Sabi ko, Boots, lagay natin lahat ng baggage natin in the past in this big rock.
Importante yung mga ritual.
Symbolism.
And then
Yeah.
together we threw all our baggage in the Jordan River. Tapos na, nakaraan na, wala na.
I hope whether you are 86, okay, or what have you, or you are 60, or you're 40, or 20, gawin natin yon, di ba? Have those rituals that says yung nakaraan, tapos na. This is a new season.
The old is
right?
gone, the new has
This is a
come.
new season of life. What is present in your current season that you're so thankful for? Na bago pa, na iba ito, na nagpapasalamat kayo because of this second marriage. What's one thing, halimbawa?
I'd like to say that we have fun. We lace our conversations with humor, a lot of self-deprecation even. Pinagtatawa na namin yung sarili namin.
Wow.
Kasi nga,
Importante
unang-unang
yun, ano?
matanda na, matanda na talaga
Oo,
tayo, pero pinagtatawa na namin yun. But with it goes the realization that in age, there is wisdom.
Right.
Diba? There is understanding, there is strength. So while we laugh at ourselves, we anchor our relationship on all of that, the attributes of age. No, our faith, of course, helps us a lot.
You know, I attended Tita Boots' 80th birthday.
Ito nga, yung libro niya.
And
mabasahin
si
ka.
Tito King ang publisher.
Excuse me.
Excuse me.
Kaya hindi ako
Akala nyo, habang may buhay talaga may pag-asa at may mga pagnanasa. Naks.
Wait, pwede ba natin puntahan yung humor?
Oo. Hindi, ito
Ikaw
muna.
muna
Gusto
ito.
ko muna sabihin na
Ikaw basahin.
kasi yung 80th birthday ni Tita Boots showed me talaga how much the Lord honors your heart when you're in the right place
Ay,
according to His will.
True.
And when you are partnered with someone at this age who really honors you, cherishes you, and then supports all your endeavors in a way that will even produce a book to remember your legacy. Wow, that's amazing, Tita. You know, a lot of women desire these kinds of things, and you have it. And wow, what a blessing you are to each other.
That's why my prayer, my consistent prayer is after thanking the Lord for all these graces and the blessings, and that's the core of that book. It's gratitude. It's sana I will always be deserving of all of that.
Yeah.
Because we can take this for granted. Oh, and then we can. Oh, and sana I will aspire to be always deserving of God's love, of His love, and His generosity, His kindness. So,
In spite of the fact na the factory is closed.
But
Love that.
but the playground is open.
But your toy is
But my
Yes, I remember we
the
were,
factory is closed, the playground is open, but his toy is broken.
you know, Tita Boots and I were taping Mano po. And tinignan ko lang siya, Tita Boots, you look so happy. I just want to know, at this age and time in your life, how is sex life? So, ito yung sagot nga niya. May sagot siya sa akin.
Oh, may sagot
Ito yung sagot.
oh, nasagot ko, well, we showered together. Ngayon, ang
Maligo ka na, may host.
mag-isip na lang kayo kung hanggang shower na lang o may kasunod pa yun.
Yeah. But you also talked about how you excite each other with your intellectual exchanges.
Yes, of course.
So how is it like? Do you read books to each other? Do you debate? What is it like?
Debate, mahirap ka debate lawyer. Eh. Nakutalo ako dun talaga. But discuss, yes. But when we're already on the cusp of argument na, medyo ako na yung nag-withdraw kasi it's difficult to get into an argument. Nobody wins in an argument, especially if you're arguing with the lawyer. Di ba? So as long as there's an exchange of the ideas, no, of insights, okay na yun sa akin. Because I'd like to think that with every discussion, I learn something. I learn a lot, no, and hopefully siya rin. So there's a lot of that, and I think at our ages we know how to rein in our impatience kung meron man, kung the discussion is not going well, or if we're not reaching a point that we'd like to reach. You know, at my age I've learned to mag-hold back ako because there's something I can learn from this. And there will be another time for this discussion. We can continue it at another time.
Pinag-aaralan yan over time. Rain. Back. Diba? To hold and not lose it.
Yeah.
That takes time. That takes experience and age.
But it's very important for all couples to know that they don't have to always win.
Yes.
yes.
Yung joke dyan, I will not always win in fights against my wife. Because if I always win a fight, that means I live with the loser. Ang question ko is at this stage, finishing strong I can see it, we can see it. What do you think is the key to finishing strong? In a marathon, marami, they start strong, no? But they whimper their way to the finish line. Wala na, pigang-piga, hindi na matatapos, you know? Or may kasabihan nga, they have weddings that glorify but marriages that horrify.
Yes.
So what would you say are the keys? Tips nyo po for those who want to finish strong in marriage? Oh,
Well, instead of talking about finishing strong, I would rather talk about staying strong.
Yan.
Okay.
Dahil kung
Huwag
sa
kang
dulo
ipahuli.
lang
Oo,
di ba?
tama.
It must be sustained all throughout. And I don't want to sound pontificating, but Christ must be the center. No. Boots and I are daily communicants. We go to Mass every day at 6:30 in the morning sa
Mount Carmel.
Mount Carmel
Monastery.
Monastery. And we say the rosary and the chaplet of the Divine Mercy every night. Ang problema lang, ako parati naglilid ng rosary. Pagdating ko sa first mystery, tulog na yung aking partner. Parang pinag-ehele pag nagro-rosaryo kami.
May kasabihan naman is that you lead to the holiness of your spouse. If you are anointed, nan-anoint na rin siya. Napapasbasa na rin.
No, pagkatapos biglang magigising, manggugulo, lugar na siya ang sumasagot, siya naglilid na bigla.
So,
Marami akong utang.
And another thing, no? There will always be disagreements. Bakit hindi? Di ba? Magkaibang tao, kung mga kapatid mo, nanay mo, you have disagreements with them. Ang payo ko sa mga young ones is this: never let it fester. Yung inyong disagreement.
No?
Oo.
Oo.
Bago kayo matulog, kailangan resolve the issue.
Right.
Pag pinatulog mo, mapapaginipan mo pa yun eh. No, it festers and then the next day it continues. Tapusin nyo na bago kayo matulog.
yes.
Ako naman, I go a little further. While I believe that what is important is the journey, what is important is the here and now. I think of the finish line. I think of the finish line. And my thoughts bear on, I want to invoke St. Paul's words that, I have finished the race, I have fought a good fight, and ano na nga yung huli? Nakalimutan ko na. Basta,
There's a crown waiting for me. Yeah.
yeah, something like that.
Yes.
Oo. And my thoughts are always, sana when the finish line comes, and we're still there, to step on that finish line, sana we can look back with gratitude at everything that had come our way, especially if we're still together, kung buhay pa kami may pareho. And to be grateful that we had done our best in that journey towards the finish line. And this is something I think you'll find interesting. A lot of people have found it interesting. And this is related to the finish line. And also, it's a peek into the kind of relationship we have, especially where our marriages are concerned. Early into our marriage, King and I were talking about the inevitables. We always talk about the inevitables on the practical side, the spiritual side, etc. Even by way of planning and preparation. So, ang sinuggest ko sa kanya, both our spouses were cremated, no? Ang sinuggest ko, one in Ayala and my spouse in St. Therese Columbarium. So, ang suggestion ko sa kanya, when the time comes, if you go ahead, I will have your ashes turned over and brought to the columbarium, the crypt where Olga is. And this is really for the sake of our children. Because alam ko naman, pag nandun na tayo sa taas, wala na mag-asawa, wala na magkapatid, wala na magkaaway. And he readily agreed, no? So conversely, kung ako naman ang mauuna, he will take my ashes to Pete's crypt in St. Therese Columbarium. Those are going to be painful experiences. No? May separation angst pa rin yun. But parang transcended by the thought that our children will find greater comfort in that. Di ba?
Self-transcendence.
May problema lang doon sa formula yun.
Oo, anong problema ito?
Baka pag dinala niya yung ashes ko doon sa unang asawa ko, sabihin, no return, no exchange.
I love it. I love it.
I want to ask this question as a part of our... What is the one thing each one of you can say about each other that really contributes to the strength of your union? I'm sure you have issues, pero yung staying strong, yung nandun pa, lumalaban pa.
Maybe
There's
they
one
can
thing.
say it to each
I
other.
know, I want to hear it.
Yeah.
Kung meron pong isang bagay kay Tito Pete. Kasi isa pinag-uusapan
Okay
eh.
lang yun, okay lang.
Tito King. That you're always thankful for. And then vice versa.
Yes,
What would
can
that
you
be?
tell it to each other?
it's the wholeness about him. No? And yet, there is his brokenness also. Hindi naman kompleto, hindi naman perfecto. But I would like to include myself in that picture. And it has to do with our faith. I think
Amen.
it's really just that.
Yeah. Galing, no?
That Christ is the center.
That he's embraced that. But I like that. You're whole but broken. Di ba? Totoo naman, di ba?
It's
Hindi na nga
not only
nakaano yung
toy.
toy eh. Both na nga yung broken.
Pero totoo yung sinabi ni Boots, kailangan yung buong katauhan ng iyong asawa ang mamahalin mo. Paano kung kagandahan lang ni Boots ang gusto ko? That will fade.
Yes.
Diba? Kung yung mata lang, kung maduling yan, di wala na yung pag-ibig.
So ano nga ho yung
Diba?
isang characteristic na yan?
Yung kung kamay, pag nirayuma yan, paano yung pag-ibig mo? So you must love the entire person. Na maski ano mangyari, nandoon ang pag-ibig.
But what is it about her, Tita Boots, that you most appreciate and are most thankful for?
She serves me well.
Woo!
No, really.
Yes.
I wake up in the morning, mga 5 o'clock. She wakes up, gives me coffee. Ganon. She makes sure that I'm comfortable in everything I do in our house and even outside.
Well, if I had a spouse who was 86, I'll have to do the same thing. Komportable yan.
I find a lot of merit in that.
Oh.
And I'm grateful. Kasi hindi niya sinasabi sa akin yun eh. Pero,
A servant at heart, Tita Boots, you've always been like that. But wow, for your spouse to say that. Ang ganda naman nun. Ang ganda
but,
naman.
and also, iba ang generosity ni King, ha? Not only to me, not only in terms of the temporal, the spiritual, the mental exercises, etc., but with others, sometimes generous to a fault nitong taong ito. But that is so admirable, so admirable. And it's a whole sense of generosity, sharing not only of his means, but sharing of himself. Sometimes he says nga, bakit ka ba ginagawa ito? Because needless to say, he doesn't get anything in return naman, wala namang rewards yan. But sometimes I see why. Because for him, it's always a matter of paying back, giving back.
Han, ikaw,
I'm
paano mo yung wrap up?
so
Ako may babasahin ako bago tayo magtapos. But you
I'm
wanna
so
say something?
inspired talaga na ito yung pupuntahan natin.
Pero malayo pa kayo sa finish line.
Tatanggapin ko ba yung my toy will be broken?
Hindi. Ito yon. Yung kasi kailangan merong kang mga tao na nakaka-inspire sa'yo. Kasi dadating ka talaga sa mga periods na may trials and tribulations, you know. And you have to have enough voices that you can run to and people who can push you further to say, yeah, it's worth fighting for. This race is worth running. And that's what the marathon is all about.
We will stay strong.
Yes.
Amen.
By God's grace.
Yes. Christ is the center and their example.
Yeah.
Can I just read from the book that you had published, di ba?
Thank you,
Grateful.
Tim.
Babasahin ko lang to, di ba? Ito yung, what are you most grateful for? Ito yung sinabi niya, that I woke up this morning. Sinabi niya,
Who said it? Tita Boots or
Tita
Tito
Boots,
King?
many didn't make it through the night. My mission on earth is still unfinished.
Yes.
And wow, what a mission we have experienced, just by you being our guests. Maraming salamat. Tito
Oy,
King, Tita
salamat
Boots,
din.
Thank you
Salamat
so
din.
much. Maraming
Maraming
salamat. Yes! Another round of applause for Tito King and Tita Boots Anson-Roa.
Our host.
Marriage is a marathon.
Season 2.
The podcast, nakalimutan mo. See ya. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Marriage is Marathon, the podcast, Season 2.
Thank you so much, Mango, for our outfits for today. This episode was shot at Midnight Dream Studio.
For feedback, suggestions, questions, please comment below. And don't forget to follow us on our socials, Anthony Pangilinan and Mommy Maricel.
Run it one step at a time. See you in our next podcast, and God bless you.